Now, here's a team that looks uninspiring if you just look at their record, but their record doesn't tell everything. Their record doesn't tell who they are. The Shanghai Dragons have gone 13-15 last season with a map record of 51-61-3. But the thing is, they kind of picked it up towards the end.
Okay, how fucking dare you say that Shanghai isn't defined by their map history?
Okay, no, but I mean,
dare you?
I mean, their
say
record,
that their 48 game loss streak or whatever is why they're not known and beloved.
Listen. I'm saying it doesn't define who they are. It might define why they're loved, but it doesn't mean that they're gonna be bad.
Yeah. So excuse the rest of this podcast because I'm about to overrate the fuck out of the Shanghai Dragons.
Okay.
Same.
Before we overrate the fuck out of the Shanghai Dragons, they cut Koma, Gongju, Youngjin retired. They signed motherfucking Fleta.
The GOAT.
Lip, a DPS that Xavier's already said he's hyped about. Void from the Gladiators. Stand 1, main tank from Gladiators Legion. And Li Jaegon, which is a main support from Runaway.
Listen here, you nuggets. Can Shanghai be a top 5 team in this league? Yes. Alright, so this is the Spark are going to be the number 2 team in the league take. Are y'all ready? Shanghai could be top 5. I look at this roster and I'm like, yo, you guys are good.
Yeah.
The biggest issues for me, and this might, as I talk through this, they're more going to end up at 7 or 8. But I think losing Gamzu is a giant deal. It's very similar to the Hotba loss, where Gamzu was a great main tank. And I'm not entirely sure if Stand 1 is going to be good enough to replace Gamzu. I think Gamzu is going to see, in Dallas, I think he's going to help that team kind of turn around. Because he's that good. He's just so reliable. He's never going to fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike a dude like Note, who's never going to fuck up but not really make plays for you, Gamzu is a playmaker as well. And I genuinely believe Gamzu's play really helped enable the ridiculousness that was the 3Ds, Dding, Diem, and Youngjin. And losing him is a really big deal. However, you do lose him, and you get Fleta. So there's balances here.
A new trio of D.
So there's balances here, but I think a lot of people understand how big losing Gamzu is, but until kind of we're in the mid-season part, and kind of we're in the dregs of the season and shit starts slowing down, losing Gamzu is going to be more evident because I don't know a lot about Stand 1. Maybe he's a monster, but Gamzu is proven to be a top level tank.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the interesting things where you bring up now the mid-season slump, I think that's when we're going to kind of start returning to homestands, where it's the second time to a location where it's all oh, here we go, this thing again. That's going to be kind of
the Valiant are going to lose again.
Oh, here we go. Or when you see a game where you're oh, this is going to be a very easy game, and even the players start feeling that. So it's I feel like that's, I think it's going to be it's going to hurt Shanghai when they have to go up against Dallas and have to go up against Gamzu. If by that point Stand 1 hasn't made a solid showing that he is as strong as Gamzu.
Yeah, and I think it's disappointing too, because for a lot of the time, Gamzu was playing next to Youngjin, who is dope. Let's not get crazy. Youngjin is a badass.
He was a badass.
But a lot of the time, he was playing third DPS in their 3 DPS comps, and then he was playing weird off tank kind of in their comps. And Gamzu never really played a lot with I don't know, a super good off tank kind of player.
Right.
And I was kind of looking forward to Gamzu messing around with Void a little bit. But Gamzu's gone.
Rest in peace, Gamzu.
Yeah, but Stand 1 is cool. I like him. He was really cool in Shanghai Masters. And so obviously if that is any translation, it's whatever. But I don't know. I'm not entirely sure if like the Shanghai Masters thing is evident of a lot. But what I am sure of is that this Fleta, Lip, Dding, Diem thing is fucking insane.
Yeah.
Right.
And one, I'm going to watch every single Shanghai game.
Obviously.
Because of them. I think that they are genuinely nutty.
Mm-hmm.
And what really helps with that is the fact that you still have Luffy. And hopefully Lee Jae Gong is as good as Koma. Because Koma really was kind of the hero of that Shanghai run in Stage 3 playoffs. He was the reason Dding was able to just play far and not die.
Yeah.
Because Koma was keeping him alive. Koma kept everybody up. And Koma's another Gamzu-like player where this team is really going to miss him. But from what I've heard about Lee Jae Gong, he's really good.
Yeah.
Right.
I do feel like a good point with the Shanghai Masters is that it gave us far enough into the off season that we had a chance to see what everybody looks like at that point, and then it also gives them a chance to see, well, these are a majority of the teams we're going against minus Seoul, so it gave them a chance to kind of be like, okay, so this is where we all are, this is what we need to push, this is what we need to change, this is what we need to improve on. And I think that's going to put all these teams kind of a step ahead if they take it as a learning experience. If they just take it as a hoo-hoo fun thing, then I can see, which I can only assume is like Chengdu being like, haha, this was fun, just because of how chaotic they are. But I think it's a good chance to see where they stand currently against each other, and then seeing, because a majority of the games are going to be against each other before they face people outside of their
Yeah, I mean, you play the teams of your division
league
twice, so you're going to see Chengdu twice, you're going to see Guangzhou twice, you're going to see Seoul twice.
Right.
That's a lot of your games. Half of your games are basically against your opponents. But holy fucking shit, Dding, Diem, Lip, and Fleta is so
insane.
Shanghai Masters, they just shat on everybody, right?
Yeah.
Off the back of this support line, and we know how good Dding and Diem are. Dding, best far in the league, really good Sombra. Diem, sniper. Fleta is everything.
Fleta is God.
Yes, he
Fleta
plays.
is love. Fleta is life.
He
Cut
plays.
that. Cut that out. Get that out of here. We leave that in the last decade.
He plays everything. Fleta is so good, and I think that what this team was lacking was Diem is very good at what he does, and Dding is very good at what he does. But I do think that there is a limit to what you can do with those two, because their skill sets are very narrow.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at what they do, but they're not flex gods, And so I feel like you are limited to what you can run. And it worked when you could have 3 DPS out there, so you could have Youngjin disrupting things, Dding out here, Diem out here. But as we saw in Stage 4, this shit don't really work as much. Because now that you're in 2-2-2, if you're running Dding and Diem, you're limited a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Youngjin was kind of like that flex dude, but it's fucking Fleta that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think Fleta opens this team up to a whole world of possibilities, because what you lacked in terms of Dding and Diem were their specialists, and they are the best at what they try to do. Fleta can do everything. By the end of the stage last year, Fleta became a pretty good Mei. And he started off not that good, but he figured it out because Fleta's Fleta. Fleta's a great Genji, even though Genji's not in meta.
Right.
He can pick up whatever you need him to do. So if Dding is having troubles, if Diem are having troubles, be like, yo, play what you're doing, and Fleta can play around that.
Exactly.
And Lip is another just, embarrassment of riches on, a San Francisco Shock level, where I watched Lip at that Shanghai Masters, and I was like, the Overwatch League needs to come right now, because I need to watch Lip play on the big stage, and I need Lip to have his moment where Twitter loses their mind over a play he does, because he's genuinely super good. Obviously, small sample size. I didn't watch Lip outside of that game, but from what I saw, and it's clear that people that know him understood the type of talent he is.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited for Shanghai, and I think that they, at the high end, top 5.
Yeah.
At the low end, 9, 10 range.
Mm-hmm. I think also because they were very generous with their signings out of all the Chinese teams. I think this comes from seniority in the league in general, the whole organization as a whole, knowing that it's very important to get these actual signings, because they didn't sign a lot of people before the season started last year, and then they slowly brought in people.
They basically just brought an entire team and were like, all right, we're cool. But they never,
But I think that's to be shown with some of these other Chinese teams where they were like very reserved with their signings, and they were like, I want to keep this team right now, like Spark. It's like, I want to keep this team, and Chengdu was like, I want to keep this team, and then Guangzhou did very little also. It's like, this is the team. I need them to stay this team. And I feel like we saw that a lot with some other teams going into the second season where they were like, this is our team. We can't change. We've already made these guys our team. Like, it would be wrong for us to do that. But I think now, seeing so many teams sign going into the third season, I think they finally get like, oh yeah, this is really important that we do this. Mm-hmm. The teams that were very reluctant. And I think that's just coming from how new the rest of the Chinese teams are. They're kind of in that mindset where they're like, well, we have something that works right now. Let's not fuck it up.
Yeah.
And we know it's good, so let's not fuck it up. It's not like Boston, who thought they were good and
you just blow stuff up.
Yeah.
There's another thing that's weird, and I find myself doing it, and I think that a lot of other fans are going to find themselves doing it, is underrating Shanghai just because Shanghai had a historically bad season 1, and their season 2 didn't start off too hot. And I find myself doing it where...
Their map record does not define them. Truer words were never spoken by me.
Because I want to be like Shanghai's top 10, but in the back of my mind, the Shanghai Dragons name
is not top 10 material.
Yeah, it conjures this idea that they're not a top flight team, even though I look at their roster and I'm like, they're fucking good.
Yeah.
And they're better than a lot of teams in this league. So it's just like an interesting thing where, you think of Shanghai, and I think that they just have a permanent underdog name. Mm-hmm. Even though they might be favorites going into this season.
They could literally be like the number 1 team going into playoffs, and people would be like, the underdogs.
Yeah, but like, can Shanghai beat
Shanghai pull it off?
Can they beat the 6th seed team? Like,
will they really go all the way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's just interesting with Shanghai, but the one thing that I'm kind of sad about is, so the stage 3 Shanghai thing was the greatest shit I've ever seen in almost all of sports. That playoff run, defeating New York, then Vancouver, then the Shock in an incredible series, was great. And obviously they'll still have that magic because they are fan favorites. But with Shanghai kind of moving on and being a true playoff contender, championship contender, hopefully this year, I'm looking at the league right now and I'm thinking, who is going to have that moment?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to have the Shanghai moment of, oh my god, like, where did this come from? And I look at a lot of teams, I'm just like, I don't see a lot of these underdog teams having that Shanghai moment. I think the only team that can have that is Toronto. Because Toronto has so many doubters, but they also have a lot of fan favorites. So if Toronto comes out and goes hard,
I think
they're going to get a lot of... It's going to be a good moment, but I don't know if anybody has that underdog narrative that Shanghai had.
Yeah, I think Toronto is the only one that where if they have one of those amazing runs where it's going to actually mean something. Because, like, even thinking of other underdogs.
Like if London went off.
Yeah.
It would just be like, oh shit, like, cool.
London's back.
I don't even think
dudes.
Washington can have that kind of run where it's still like, oh my god, I can't believe it, because it's like you saw that already.
Yeah.
So it's like Toronto is the only one with that hope.
Yeah, I feel like Toronto or I think Houston also kind of has that pub of if they go crazy, it's going to be a really great moment to watch, and it's going to be one of those moments that we remember when the Overwatch League is dead in 2 years. It's going to be one of those moments we remember. Where it's like, damn, Houston went hard that one season. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, it's just the thing that I think about with Shanghai is who's going to be kind of the new Shanghai, because Shanghai has transcended Shanghai right now.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
better. They're better than being the Shanghai of the Overwatch League.
And
They're
I
above
think
that.
the only team that kind of has a spark of where I'm like, oh, I want you to do good, is Washington. Like, Toronto, I'm hoping has the, like, Shanghai arc, but, like, Washington's the only other one where I'm like, I pity you guys so much that now that you did something insane, I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, you got this, guys. So Shanghai and Washington have the same vibe, I think, in a fan looking at it. But I don't see Washington having that same, like, love that Shanghai gets. Because Shanghai is probably the most loved team in the entirety of the Overwatch League.